Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. In a recent interview on the Thinking Crypto YouTube channel, host Tony Edward had on Lisa Braganca, who is a former SEC branch chief. And it was interesting hearing what she had to say. There was a clip that was shared by XRP Riz, and that was retweeted by John Deaton's Crypto Law Organization, their Twitter account, and they wrote, former SEC branch chief says that the ethical questions surrounding William Hinman's ETH speech should be made clear. Now, you may recall that the last time Tony Edward asked somebody anything remotely having to do with ETH, it was Charles Hoskinson, ETH co-founder and founder of Cardano, and that didn't go so well. You may recall that he stated that, oh, it's all just a grand conspiracy, nothing to this, and not to get into that whole debacle again, but the former SEC branch chief didn't say anything even close to that. In fact, while reserving personal opinion, she said that this should be looked into and should be investigated. And if you read her face while she's talking, fine if she didn't want to say it, I understand that. But if you just read her facial expressions, it really makes me wonder if perhaps even she's just thinking, yeah, this looks like a serious impropriety. Looks like perhaps there could have been some sort of breaking of the law. Can't know for sure, admittedly, that's speculation, but just looking at her the way she's talking and you can tell she's being careful and trying to figure out what word is coming out of her mouth next as she answers this question. And so attorney John Deaton, this kind of led to him sharing some brand new thoughts on this exact topic, asking, will Congress do its job? That's a quote. And he also said, quote, literally criminal behavior, end quote, in reference to what's going on here. So, excuse me. I'm going to break it all down for you, share with you what Attorney Deaton had to say. Excuse me. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I'm not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Okay, so in we go. Here's what Attorney Deaton had to say on this topic. Will Congress do its job? And by the way, he tagged a bunch of people that are in Congress. There's 5 of them listed there on your screen. He shared this all on Twitter. Is there an inquiry? I know that thousands of messages were sent asking for a letter of inquiry, just asking if the Hinman speech was officially screened and approved by SEC Ethics. Congressman Davidson asked this question directly to SEC Enforcement Director. What's that guy's name? Is it Gerber? Gruel? If I'm way off, then I apologize. Somebody correct me below, but I think that's it. So Congressman Davidson asked this question directly to the SEC Enforcement Director at the last hearing, but he refused to answer, claiming he couldn't talk about it because it was being litigated. That answer is 100% misleading and not true. The question must be answered now and can't be avoided. First, it wasn't true. Whether the Hinman speech was screened and approved by SEC Ethics was never litigated. Only emails, drafts, and comments about the speech were being litigated. Regardless, that issue is moot. The judge ruled, and the emails/drafts have been turned over. The motions for summary judgment are in, and nowhere does the ethics question get raised, proving it wasn't being litigated. Yeah, and so I'll pause to note, while we all care in the XRP community about justice being done, we care about the ethics, lack thereof, as it pertains to the SEC, and totally we're absolutely in the right to bring that up. Because look, as a society, we need to be able to have confidence in the agencies within our federal government, especially us here in the United States, but there are ramifications the world over, because America, like it or not, in a way, leading the price action of crypto markets. And I understand that crypto is global, but you look at what happens when the Fed announces anything regarding monetary policy, the world responds. It's not contained to the United States, it's global. And if you're wondering why, it's actually not that complex. It's because the Fed controls the dollar, and the dollar is the global reserve currency, and that impacts equities, and cryptocurrency, the entire asset class, moves in tandem with equities. So once you understand that, it's really no more complex than that. And so, yes, you might hear, I've seen some comments from people outside of the United States, not that many, but from time to time, and fair enough, they make comments where they're like, oh, come on, the world's bigger than the United States. I'm like, well, yeah, of course it is. There's, a little over 300 million of us here in the United States, and there's something like 8 billion humans. Fine. But in terms of what's moving markets, It originates in the United States. It just does. And so all of this matters, and the confidence in the SEC and all this, it actually matters. Totally fair to bring this all up. But as it pertains to the SEC v. Ripple case, frankly, it's not a factor, really. I mean, yeah, Hinman's speech has been discussed, but if you look at Ripple's motion for summary judgment, they don't think that that's something to argue to help them win the case. That is not what they're talking about. In fact, Ripple didn't even talk about their fair notice defense, which is directly related to the Hinman speech. In their motion for summary judgment, they didn't even go that route because they understand that there are bigger fish to fry. And so the strategic path that Ripple's attorneys have been going down, it makes all the sense in the world as far as I'm concerned. But even so, even setting aside that is separate from the Ripple case, it still needs to be addressed. And but the good thing is, since that's not really what's being litigated here, tackle it. Take it on. What are we waiting for here? And so again, Attorney Deaton says, the motions for summary judgment are in, and nowhere does the ethics question get raised, proving it wasn't being litigated. Regardless, it isn't being litigated anymore. The SEC didn't appeal the judge's ruling. Gary Gensler, an SEC enforcement director, can't give you that answer again. A former SEC branch chief just stated that we need to get better answers regarding the ethics violations and that it's a mess. And that's a quote, it's a mess. Each member of the FSC, Financial Services Committee, received a letter from me along with a simple sample letter of inquiry asking that very important and relevant question. I've stated that the speech wasn't screened for ethical conflicts. How do I know? 1, Hinman's integrity/ethics have been questioned publicly for 2 years. If the speech was screened and approved by the SEC Ethics Office, he would say that. Nothing prevents him from saying that. Number 2, it would take less than 1 hour for a paralegal with very little experience to find the conflict because it's this easy. Number 1, Bill, in this speech, you're giving a regulatory free pass to Bitcoin and ETH, and this will be market-making news. Do you or anyone close to you own Bitcoin or ETH? Answer, no. Number 2, as you know, because you're not retired from Simpson Thacher, but are an ongoing profit-sharing partner receiving millions from them while being at the SEC, the ethics office informed you that you have a 100% financial conflict bar with your law firm, Simpson Thacher. Therefore, we must make sure that there is no connection whatsoever with your law firm and Bitcoin and ETH. Then the SEC paralegal would ask Bill, is there any business before the SEC related to his law firm and Bitcoin or ETH? Hinman would then say yes, because Simpson Thacher was asking the division Hinman was director of for approval to bring the Cannon IPO. So what did Cannon make? Bitcoin and ETH mining hardware. And then John Deaton wrote in all caps here, that alone would prevent Hinman from giving the speech. See, and so a lot of that, portions of it, so it's been discussed, right? The topics of the clear improprieties and how easy it would be to just nail him on this. It could not be more obvious that this is indeed the case, that it's worth investigating specifically. But there's more. And then John Deaton shares it. Check this out. He writes, but wait, there's so much more. That's made me think of Billy Mays. You guys remember Billy Mays? John Deaton, a 30-second Google search would show that Simpson Thacher was a member of the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, which exclusively promotes the Ethereum blockchain. The paralegal would go to Bill and the SEC ethics chief and say Hinman can't give the speech. They would tell Hinman that someone else must give the speech or don't give it at all. Now you see why I'm so confident in saying that the speech was never screened for a conflicts check. Instead, Hinman again violated the criminal bar the ethics office told him he was violating if he met with people from his firm. Yeah, I'll just pause and say, and I have to say that every time I see this, it starts to grind my gears. And it's just like, the arrogance of this man. Just, yeah, well, I'm above the law because I'm Bill Hinman. And he just does whatever the hell he wants because he's an arrogant man, obviously. And I understand, like, I've seen people that talk, and fair enough, the people that know him in real life, they talk about how he's just the nicest guy. Okay, great. So he's friendly in regular conversation. But the arrogance to do something like this and the harm it would cause to markets globally, no, you may have given ETH a free pass, Bill Hinman, but you don't get a free pass for behaving like this. No, 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 no. Deaton continues. He agreed to meet his partner from the China office, spearheading the Canon IPO on the same day a letter from his division went out about the IPO. So I ask you, fine gentlemen, are you going to make an inquiry, or are you going to allow the SEC to bury this under the proverbial swamp? Investors have no confidence in the SEC because of this literally criminal behavior. Now, again, that's a quote, literally criminal behavior. So Attorney Deaton, happy to see this. He's not beating around the bush. He's calling it what he believes that it is. And what else is it? And it's so fascinating. There are a number of people, including Deaton, that have been saying this very publicly. This has to have reached Bill Hinman, yet he's not crying anything about any sort of, wrong speak against him. He's not claiming defamation or libel. I forget which one is written. I remember that the difference between the two, one is written, one's verbal. But he's not claiming either of those against him. Well, why might that be? He's just cool with this? No, the reason, the speculative reason here, is because this wouldn't go well for him if he pushed against people making these claims, because the claims seem to be true. Isn't that the problem? Isn't that why he's not doing what he's not doing and just sitting there taking it? Makes me wonder. And then Attorney Deaton says, plus SEC officials can just ignore confessional requests. We're not asking for a lot. Just ask the question like Congressman Davidson already did, except now they can't evade it. To those who wish we would leave this alone, if you want crypto and this industry to move forward legitimately, we must clean our own house or enemies will. Bingo, exactly, spot on. And that's why I'm tired of the crap from some people in the crypto space saying, oh, no, don't bring it, it's causing tribalism in the crypto. No. First of all, the space is already tribal, but you can't allow improprieties, even if they happen to benefit a certain portion of the world of crypto, you can't allow that to go untouched. Because then you have a bigger problem of trust that's going to have broader implications in the years and decades to come. No, this needs to be squashed right now. I don't want this BS argument that it's increasing crypto tribalism. Hell no. This is to prevent crypto tribalism in the future. It will only get worse, obviously. So Attorney Deaton, yet again, hitting the nail on the head. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Lambo.